variety of things. We want to assure you that we're doing a lot to make this event uneventful and minimize problems. We're going to take care of this community, and our community is going to be fine during this event, and when this we have a lot of resources developed to it, devoted to it. There's some folks in the forest service here that will introduce themselves in a moment, and we'll welcome your questions, and hopefully you feel a bit more at ease at the time with you. So let me start with folks in the forest service here. Introduce themselves. There are others hiding in the back who may not, but that's fine. I want to say though, over the past week, we've been operating, and the Forest Service team has been here, and they've been doing very well organizationally, and there have not been any serious issues to speak of thus far. So with that, I'll let you go through yourself.
Hi, I'm Jamie Davidson, Deputy Forest Supervisor on the Schwamigan Nicolay.
Do you have any mics in here?
No.
I can't hear back here at all.
I'm Jamie Davidson, Deputy Forest Supervisor on the Schwamigan Nicolay. I'm based in the Rhinelander office.
I'm Brad Tuberville, I'm District Ranger here in the Washburn Ranger District. Hi everybody, Tony McGallagher, Special Agent for the Forest Service.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with some questions. I don't know about the mic. This is Township member. The town chairman is coming. We'll save the day.
Yay!
There you go.
All right. Check. It's good? All right. This is going to get more fun by the minute now. So, would you like the introductions again?
Yeah.
Starting, I'm Paul Sasanka, Bayfield County Sheriff. I was the loudest of the bunch. You might have heard that, but I'm giving it to you again.
Hi, Jamie Davidson, Deputy Forest Supervisor on the Schwamigan Nicolay National Forest.
Good evening everyone, I'm Brad Tuberville, I'm the District Ranger here on the Washburn Ranger Station. Howdy folks, Tony McGallagher, Senior Special Agent out of our Washington office.
Notice how they hand me the mic again. Okay, all right. There's a map here in the corner. Maybe I'll point to this, or we will, just to give you some idea. Apologize for the lack of video. I blame the town sheriff for that. Time Rivers building. I'm kidding. Most of you know where Cant Hook Lake is if you're from the community. Cant Hook Lake is the location of this gathering this year, right here. Now, something's worth mentioning, and we might have the Forest Service folks comment on some of the road closures in the area, because I think a number of you have heard about that. So there are some limitations to travel, and they have to do with some repairs that are being done on the forest. If they coincide with the event, there was damage caused by flooding, if you remember last year, those from the area. Would anyone want to speak about the road closure, the impact of that?
I can touch
Oh, sure.
So last year we had the Father's Day flood and received a bunch of damage across the district. And so anyway, these roads are under contract for to do those finalized repairs. That contract started up last week, and so we need the roads to be closed down so we can finalize those repairs and put those roads back into a sustainable condition. So we predict they'll be open in the next 4 to 6 weeks as the contractor works through that contract.
So excuse me, are those the roads that are, those roads in red, are those all closed? Is that what you're saying?
The question was, are the roads in red the ones closed?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Oh, wow.
Now, I do believe, now, correct me if I'm out of turn here, I believe there was some provision for folks who live here to get, were there some passes for it, or no?
Well, for local folks in this area that have, for folks that live over here on the 228 road that, you know, this is actually off, so the closure actually starts here at the forest boundary where we have authority to close the road. So from here to the west, we're closing that for the next several weeks. And we're working with our engineer to get this finalized, repairs done.
So right now, the objective has been to get people that are intending to get into Candlewood Lake to be able to do that with a minimum of disruption and find a place to park. And as the numbers grow, logically that gets to be a little more of a challenge. I will tell you now, as the Sheriff's Office, our objective is to help those who wish to get into this event to get there with a minimum of disruption to everything else. And I think there's some pretty good guidance there. There's some signage, and the Forest Service is working on the parking, and we're going to do the same. We want to make this event.
Excuse me. Rich, you are my name. Could you start from the beginning and how this process came about and what the permit situations are for that? And then also go into, what they do with sanitary sewer and all.
Okay, let me say, I can't answer the permit. I don't get involved in permits in the National Forest. If the National Forest chooses to answer that, that's going to be up to them. I'm stating what our objective is at the moment, and that is to get people into the event, and we're going to keep our community safe, and we're going to minimize disruption to our community. That's our objective, very simple. We're not tolerating criminal activity. We want those who are here to enjoy the stay. We want the citizens to be safe, and I guess we're confident that's going to happen. Now, as far as the permitting, I'll let the Forest Service talk about that.
So the Forest Service supports special use permits for large group gatherings of 75 people or more. This event is not permitted at this time. We are providing a design criteria guide to help manage the impacts to the resources, manage the transition into the rehabilitation process, and working through that. So that's where we're at right now with the permit.
Excuse me, did the Forest Service know everybody was coming, and yet the community was never forewarned? Or is this the first knowledge that you had that there's going to be a large gathering? Because it took me by surprise. I think it took a lot of people by surprise. It seemed like it would have been better if you would have known, I don't know if you did know, to have done some front end stuff.
We have a spring council to decide on the site. So
Use the mic. Give her the mic.
We had a spring council just recently to decide which site. We had several possible sites, so that's why we didn't notify anyone. We didn't actually know which one we were going to pick till we got together and saw the conditions of each site, after the winter and, with the water and what have you, and got to talk it over. And so we decided that this would be the best site and the best community we thought was the friendliest so far that we had come across as well.
Yeah, but that ain't actually the truth, is it? I mean, you guys, you sit around and you waylay communities like this.
No, sir, that's false.
So we had a question up here.
This permit requirement codified.
I said, you sit around on your spring council, you pick a community that doesn't have the resources to facilitate your gathering, and then you show up. It's guerrilla tactics. I beg to differ. If our local sheriff's department is working overtime, you're pulling resources from the community, are you not?
The incident command team is budgeted by the federal government. That money comes from Washington, D.C., not from your local community.
Is your budget coming from DC?
Can we, gentlemen, we just try to, we'll limit the exchange. There are good points being made here. The reality of it is there are quite a number of people here already. I would say 500 or so. That's going to get this event is here, and I understand exactly the concerns of people and the concerns people are raised. Now, we have no choice. In my position, we have no choice but to see this through, and we're going to devote whatever resources necessary to protect our community and keep people safe in this community, regardless of who you are. That's what we're going to do. It's a complicated issue. The effects of this, I'm not prepared to tell you today. I'm prepared to tell you that we are going to do this well. We are well organized. There are a lot of assets committed to keeping this event safe. The Forest Service, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Wisconsin State Patrol, and other agencies. We will call in any resources that we believe are necessary. So we're hoping to answer legitimate questions and educate folks on this. I'm gonna learn as this goes along as well as anyone else. Question?
How much is this costing us?
How much is it costing? It's a good question. We aren't going to know until the event has happened. And that's hard to say. I can't tell you. I'll tell you, we are getting some funding from the Forest Service now for overtime. I think that's probably going to cover our time.
That comes from the federal government, right? Not from local sources. The U.S. Forest Service budget.
The U.S. Forest Service.
We pay the taxes to the federal government.
Yes, you and I all do. Yes, we do.
Can we do this in a little better order?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's just when somebody gets applause, hand the mic to whoever wants to ask a question. Here's a question here.
My question is similar as this. Do you get reimbursed for overtime, the extra expenses? The Forest Service has a $500,000 budget to manage situations like this. Are you can you bill the Forest Service for excessive expenses?
Yes, the answer to that is yes. The question was about overtime. Will the Forest Service compensate us locally for overtime? The answer to that is yes.
Oh. Back to the road closure. West Delta Road, 228 and 231, closed to vehicle traffic. But ATV and UTV is allowed.
I've closed everything, ATV, UTV. There was an error on the closure order and the written piece of it. And so to keep that up, for the safety of the contractor and the safety of the public, we've decided to close it till that work's finished.
Well, document issued on Monday.
There was an error on it. We corrected that this morning.
Well, I have a question, follow up. The lady who answered about the spring council, could she give us a number of estimated participants that are going to maybe come? Got some idea?
Okay, the question was, can the group estimate how many you expect to be at this event?
Yes, we're guessing anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 tops, like through the whole time. But that might, people will come and go. People have already left.
Sanitary facilities have you had set up for these people? Like instead of digging a hole and pooping in the hole?
That's what they do.
Yeah, as a shy. You're asking.
And who's
We use the Army slit trench method, and we put on ash for sanitation and or lime.
the Army then?
Well, we use what works. And Army has some good ideas.
This is a legitimate question.
The early Rainbow Gathering used the Marine Field Manual Handbook as the design for our original slit trenches.
National Forest here.
Yes, sir. We've been using the same design slit trenches at the Rainbow Gathering for some 47 years, and they get generally approved by the Resource Department of the Forest Service, who examines them. We cover all waste with lime or ash to help it decompose, and then we bury them and leave a mound on the top for eventual settling and renutriazing the soil. What's the purpose?
Yeah. What's the purpose of all this?
The purpose of the Rainbow Gathering, we come together to build community and pray for peace on the 4th of July. As Americans, we want to love our country by using our First Amendment right to assemble, get together, and enjoy each other in a peaceful way. Sorry?
This is directed to the forest people. I'm from Minnesota originally, and you're probably all familiar with the Boundary Waters area. And being that it's such a favorite place of many people, they have guidelines to how many people can be there at any given time. And I guess that's when I think of what's going on. I mean, obviously everyone is entitled to enjoy our parks, but it should be within a reasonable number of people so that it's not causing damage to the environment and it's not unbalancing anything. So is there anything in our forestry service that controls that?
Sure, so that's managed through a permitting process up there in the Boundary Waters Wilderness area. And we do have permitting processes for gatherings of large groups on the national forest as well. But to answer the question earlier, yes, that is enforceable. So This is not a permitted event, so it's not covered under that right now, but we are working through the design criteria to try to mitigate damage to the resources, try to manage the impacts on the ground, and support the land base.
If there happens to be fire warnings during that time, will they be allowed to have campfires? Or how will you manage the fires that might be used for cooking and?
Yep, so all the same warnings, laws, ordinances apply to everybody. There's no exception for this gathering.
Are there dumpsters available for refuse? What do they do with the garbage? I see a picture here of a lot of garbage on that. That's not from our gathering.
That's not a rainbow gathering.
We just put it in.
That's a stock photograph.
Same way everybody else does. Recycle, we take it to the recycler. If we have trash left over at the end of the event, we take it to the local dump and we pay the dump fees.
We are responsible for all our trash. We're responsible for our recycling. Just like many people who live in unincorporated areas take their trash to the dump and pay a dump fee, we do that. And if we have more than they don't want to take it, then we will drive wherever it takes to dispose of it. We don't leave anything behind. We don't leave dogs behind, we don't leave people behind, we don't leave cats behind, and we don't leave trash behind.
What are they still waiting?
Question about the fire, please? About if there's a ban on fires?
The question was about fires.
Hi, we take fires very seriously. I'm from California. I take fires very seriously. There have been times when we have been places where there have been fire bans. We apply to all fire bans. We are here because we love the land. We don't want to abuse and use the land. If we can't have fires, we use propane for cooking. We don't have fire pits to have a fire. We will abide by all fire ban water laws there is. Thank you.
We are also encouraging all of the people that are out there currently right now to do raised fire pits. My camp that I'm with right now, we've brought in 3 55-gallon drums, cut them in half, and we've raised our fire pits off the grounds to prevent root fires. We don't want any fires, and we're going to do everything we can to prevent that.
If you want to shout, I'll repeat your question.
I hear a lot of good things being said. The first thing, they didn't get a permit. We're supposed to believe they follow every other rule.
Concern is about the permit and following the other rules. Reasonable concern. But go ahead.
Can I address that, Paul? Paul, can I address that?
Sure.
My name is Karen. I've been going to these gatherings for 30 years. I've been dealing with this permit issue for 20 years. Here's the reality. What protects the forest is the Forest Service resource personnel coming out to the site and sitting in a circle with us and discussing the issues. When that process happens, people on the ground are very interested in doing what needs to be done to protect the land. People really are. Now, I'm not saying every single person is, but if 5% are not interested, the other 95% are going to educate them. The other, please hold. The other thing that's going on here is that the Forest Service group use regulations are damned if you do and damned if you don't situation. If you illegally sign a permit saying that you are a duly authorized representative of a group of people, so like if the Scoutmaster signs a permit for his scout troop to go camping, he's the duly authorized representative of that group. He can legally sign a permit. Because we don't have leaders, because this is all about cooperation and collaboration, nobody can legally sign a permit. That is why the Forest Service has backed off forcing the issue, because people who have signed permits in the past have been sued for violating the rights of the group. And just to put all this in perspective, what's happening right now is the Forest Service is trying to force a flawed site design criteria onto the gathering. And I'll tell you right now, like, I'm a nice person, but I'm kind of also a person that doesn't like the government telling me what to do. A lot of us are that way. This is an important issue. I want people to understand. So when the Forest Service comes and sits with us and we collaborate and we discuss on the land what needs to be done, it works. When the Forest Service issues a permit on their own without any of our involvement, it sits in their office and nobody cares. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the information. We're not here to form opinions about one group versus another or condemn one organization. Like we say, we want to try to help the community understand the gathering, understand what's being done, and answer legitimate questions to help everyone be more informed. Other question.
Why is Bayfield County allowing all this without permits? I'm new to the community.
Yeah, I can be fair. Bayfield County has nothing to.
2 years and $800 worth of permits to you.
Bayfield County has no permit authority in the National Forest. It is not a Bayfield County issue. Bayfield County is devoting resources to protect the community and keep order.
I pay $450 to get a sewer permit, and he's come in and slid a trench and for nothing.
Yeah.
And you want us to pay for it.
Fertilizing the trees.
All right, we'll try not to get, we understand. There are lots of good points being made here. No one should feel bad about a question. They are all good, legitimate questions. But we are faced with an issue, and we're going to deal with it, and the community is going to be fine as a result of it. We are going to do what's necessary to keep our community safe. I keep reassuring you of that, and that is a fact.
Do you have authority in the National Forest? Right.
We have criminal authority in the National Forest, yes. Routinely, when the Chequamegon National Forest exists 365 days a year. We are here 365 days a year. We deal with all issues that come about in Bayfield County. We're accustomed to that.
I got a question. If the National Forest Service requires permits of individuals to have a gathering, and they don't have one, why are they allowing them to go in there? I don't understand.
I can't answer that question for you. It's a good question. It's another question about the permitting. Sure.
So we are working to obtain a permit.
But they just said they wouldn't sign one, so you tell me why you're letting them be in there. They're gonna get fined. Yeah, they're gonna get fined because they're in there? I mean, come on, I would.
I was thirsty, and you gave me water. I was hungry and fed me.
Oh, sit down.
I was
Let them answer the question.
How
do you take a shower?
So we're working with Forest Service, our cooperators, and law enforcement, and we are working through the process.
With who? They just said they wouldn't sign a permit.
Hi, I guess I just have one question. I've heard enough that I think I know the answer, and I'm feeling fairly comfortable with it. I spend a lot of time fishing out in that area, and of course, obviously would have concern if there's... Oh, I'm sorry, Todd Carlson. I just live out on A. I just would like to know from the group, my understanding is that the fishing is discouraged and therefore won't damage the fishery. There's a lot of people that fish in area, so I guess what is the actual situation? It's an area I really enjoy, and I believe the answer is you really don't fish, correct?
The question is directed at Todd at the... Okay. Who wants to answer?
Anyone who wants to fish would have to get a license to fish, and that's the first line. We don't tend to fish at rainbow gatherings.
That's the answer that I heard earlier, and I guess that that was kind of what I just wanted to be said in the room, because I think there's a lot of people that might have that concern, and I just wanted that to be said, so, yeah.
Thank you. Another?
I guess the problem I have with this is the lack of a process. A credible process should be enforced, it should have adequate notice to the community, and it certainly wasn't provided here, I think, by design. You shouldn't be surprised to come into a community, dump 10,000 additional residents on the community and all those impacts, and not inspire a good deal of distrust and discomfort. And I have a very difficult time believing the motivation of a group that doesn't take that into consideration.
That's the question.
Does the Rainbow Group have any internal police force, if you will, not any way of enforcing among all of these 5,000 or 10,000 people that are going to show up, that they withhold, every one of them withhold these standards that you propose, you know, and if you find somebody that is not withholding those standards, what do you do?
I can address that, sir.
The question was about enforcement rules among the Rainbow Group themselves. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Who
Right
wants
here.
to answer that?
Right here.
All right.
Right here.
Real quickly.
Yes, you can. Our internal process inside the Rainbow Gathering is called Shantasena. Loosely translated means peace army or peace scene, and it's a volunteer process in which anytime something that's happening at the gathering that's not right, whether it's an argument or a fire or a dog bite or anything like that, people that need help with the situation will yell the words Shantasena. And we have a culture of every time you hear those words, you calm yourself and jog towards the situation and do what you can to de-escalate or solve the problem. We've used this method to cut off forest fires at the source. We've used this method to de-escalate like possible aggression between individuals, sometimes angry locals that come in and start arguments or fights with people at the gathering. We have a very strong culture of peer pressure to be safe. Our sanitation guidelines, for example, our catchphrase is don't touch your thing to the thing, and it means don't touch your water bottle to the spigot, don't touch your serving spoon to the bowl, and in this way we avoid cross-contamination. If somebody was seen touching their thing to the thing, they get heckled and scolded and teased, and there's immense social pressure. And generally, we keep things pretty peaceful. Shantasena volunteers have in the past worked with law enforcement when there was a crime with a victim. We have escorted individuals out of the gathering into the hands of the waiting sheriff's deputies in cases of real emergencies. Luckily, that happens very rarely.
Going to be children on the site, sir?
Yes, we have a kids village, and it's one of the nicest places in the gathering. I'll hand that to someone from Kid Village to address.
Thank you.
There's some questions then, too.
You want to, okay. Hi, my name is Yadi, and I'm from Kid Village. And what we do is we keep a area in the forest just for families, not just for families, but for all the families in children's needs. We have wash stations. We have diaper wash stations. We also have a playground, and we serve food not just from Main Circle, but we serve food at our kitchen. And we have a, how do I say this? We have hot and cold food.
Do you watch for disease?
Yes, we watch for disease. We have a kitty calm.
Pooping in the ground and all that.
What about diapers? Do you use cloth diapers or disposable diapers that you're gonna bury? That may not.
No, we don't bury diapers.
Well, didn't you say you dig trenches?
Ma'am, we don't bury diapers because we know that's an impact on the
Where do you
ground.
put 'em?
So we carry them out and we dispose of them. We are very conscious of the earth, and we're conscious of our family, and we're conscious of our children. And we have a kitty calm, which means is we have a kitty boo-boo station. We have also a calm station in the gathering itself.
Gentleman in the back, that would.
Is the Sheriff's Department going to be stepping up patrols in Delta?
I'm sorry.
Is the Sheriff's Department going to be stepping up patrols in Delta while this gathering is going on?
Stepping up patrols, yes, we already have. I mentioned there is going to be some extra time. We're working out those details with the Forest Service. They're compensating for this. Us, the State Patrol, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, we're all working together. We are, as I mentioned, that is one of our primary goals, and that is keeping peace in the community as it is. We don't want anybody to have to be concerned as you go about your daily business. We want you to be able to go about your business, be safe in your homes, and enjoy the privacy you're accustomed to, because we feel you are owed that. That is my mission as the sheriff. That is what we are going to do.
We'll be funding that then, your overtime and stuff that you're working with?
You asked about the overtime?
You're getting paid for this extra stuff.
What's the question?
Are you getting paid extra for this?
Yes, the Forest Service is offering funds for us, for our budget, to help cover the extra time we are going to spend. Yes, sir.
Has it already been figured out then, how much it's gonna cost and how many people?
No, right now we have some figures. We think it's going to be sufficient. If it is not, we're going to.
Medicated and stuff like that, you know, things that keep the people nice and safe and sanitary, you know. It really bothers me when they're putting a hole and saying that they can wash their hands. Understood. This doesn't make sense.
Understood.
Paul, why did they have to have an environmental impact statement before this gathering?
Okay, I'll let this person answer that again. I'm not the environmental impact guy.
They should have had that before.
Understand those concerns. You want to address that?
It's not a planned event, so those things do not take place.
I have a question on a different nature. I was at the coffee shop the other day and this man sat down at my table uninvited. And he kind of indicated like he was the leader of the group. And today I went back there and I read the poster and I'm concerned, it mentions meditation and worship. Do they have a worship leader of some kind?
No. No leaders, no religious dogma. All are welcome. All religions, creeds, classes, races.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm Brian Matthias. I'm affiliated with a grocery store in town and a hardware store in town. And this question would be coming from all retailers in town here. What impacts might the town see as far as mosquito spray to ice to gasoline? How much additional traffic might we see in town during the height of this event, I guess, which is to be over the 4th of July? As retailers, I think we would really need to know how that might impact us.
Is anyone prepared to answer
Stock
that?
up.
I would be able to tell you. One would assume there would be some impact, there would be more need. But gentlemen here, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to take a shot at that.
Sure.
Mic check, mic check. I have a Swiss friend and a check 1, 2. All right, we're good. So as far as things that we need, we go through toilet paper. It's a thing we all do. We tend to drink a lot of coffee. I know personally, I smoke tobacco. That's something that some people may sell more of, especially certain brands that are more natural or organic.
Sorry.
As far as a hardware store specifically, things like propane, I understand that there's an auto store that does propane fills. Sometimes that's necessary. They're over there on County Road 2. Lighters. Yeah, lighters. Use those.
Ice, how about ice? Any foodstuffs? I mean, from produce to bread.
Yeah.
We need all of it.
Will be sourced from larger metropolitan areas through a process that we go through called main supply. And as far as like produce and stuff, a lot of that we grow on different homesteads and things. Yeah, I saw a hand up.
On a mass scale, we have what's called main supply. Every meal circle that we have, we pass that around, pass a hat around the circle, and people donate. If they want to donate change or cash or whatever into that magic hat, and that money goes to main supply. Now, those main supply runs are grocery runs. We outsource to major cities. We don't impact the smaller towns and the smaller communities like these for meals that feed 10,000 people. We want to go to places like Louise, Ashland,
One question.
I have a question over here. I live right near the Cantor Lake Road, and I noticed, first of all, that, the Cantor Lake Road, I live near that road. That road is closed off right now. And so, I'm just kind of wondering, what the traffic flow is. And my larger question is I'm really curious about logistics, because logistics really interest me. And you know, and I don't really understand how parking, are there going to be lots and lots of cars? Where will all those cars go? How do people get in and out? What if there is a situation? This is just a little road, and I mean, it's a gravel road, and these are small roads, and they are not used to a lot of traffic. And so I'm wondering how all of this equipment and stuff is going to be moved in and out of here for a period of time that is actually started. Okay, so those are things. And then what if there is a fire and people have to be, or an emergency of some sort, and a lot of people have to be moved out?
Thank you. Good questions. I think we intended to talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up. So I'm going to let the Forest Service folks talk about that a bit, about how the traffic flow is being organized now, how it is currently, and how it's expected to take place, and where the parking will occur. Those are good questions.
Yeah, so most traffic's coming in off the County Road A. That's how the Rainbow family has given their directions, is coming on County Road A, head west on 231, north on Forest Road 411, and then we've made this one way from the east to the west on the Camp Hope Lake Road, with traffic exiting to the northwest on the Scenic Drive. So we have one-sided parking on the Camp Hook Lake Road, so on the southern side of the road is where parking is allowed. We have some parking on 412A, and then we expect to have one-sided parking up the 411 road, and we'll continue to assess parking as the event unfolds.
Let me just say one thing too, and I want to say, and that's just for the benefit of everyone, I'll get right to your question, is we really are going to discourage, and we're going to do what we can to prevent parking. We don't want the parking along Scenic Drive here, and that goes for the participants around the private homes, and we feel there's enough parking over here, everyone can be facilitated. We are going to do our best. That's one of my goals, to keep the parking off of those roads.
Okay, gentleman has a question. You had a question? Lady. Well, isn't it? Who's first?
Patty is first.
Patty.
Patty's first.
Hi, I'm Patty Paytash. I live on Scenic Drive Resort. I'm also a registered nurse. You know, and this is going to happen to our community. So I don't want to waste energy being negative, but I do want to think about sanitation, public health, and we've addressed some of the sanitation stuff. But if there were a real public health emergency, how is our emergency medical management system going to handle this? How are local hospitals going to handle this? There is realistically probably no place to bill for a lot of this. So that will put a great taxes on our community hospital, our volunteer fire departments and ambulance services. So I'm just kind of interested in the public health part of that and logistics.
Can I answer that? Because we do have a definitive process for that.
Yeah.
That's what I say. There are other folks in the room that are with EMS services. I know they've had a discussion. Where a problem occurs. There was a question. I think a gentleman here before had. What up first? We'll get you right next.
Let her answer. Let her answer.
Jeff.
Yeah, I just had a comment that didn't relate to that issue, but there's a lot of good questions that are well-founded, concerns that are being expressed. There's not good answers to why this wasn't done and this wasn't done, but the event is upon us now, and I'm just asking, I'm a 40-year native of Mayfield County, and I'm asking my neighbors and friends here to answer to their highest angels, if possible, as well as the
has a health issue like a heart attack that might be better handled in a hospital, to work with the Forest Service to set up our internal ambulances, coordinate with everybody. Point number 3, some of us may not have medical insurance, but a lot of us do. And I realize that's tough for the local communities. Like, I live in California. If I have a heart attack, and hopefully I won't, but I'm in that age bracket, so I could, and I get transported to the hospital, my insurance is going to pay, but it's probably going to take 6 months of insurance company and hospital wrangling, and that is a problem with our healthcare system in this country. So it doesn't mean that just because payment isn't rendered the second somebody is treated, it doesn't mean that payment will not be rendered. Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you. Here, you know, we'll try our best not to editorialize too much. I mean, there are varieties of opinion. We're going to respect everyone's opinion. Yes.
I know you said you were just going to take one more question, but I just have a comment. I would actually like to thank the public servants who are doing all this work. July, and I'm sure that a lot of them had vacations planned or fun things planned with their families that they're not going to be able to do now.
Why?
So remember not to villainize them.
Why?
They're doing the best they can with the resources that they have, and they're very much appreciated.
I still plan on doing my thing. I still plan on doing my thing with my family.
We say cut off, but it's, you know, we're going to answer questions. So one shot to try to give everybody as much opportunity.
Another event that happened here kind of unexpectedly was when the Sea Caves opened. And I see a lot of similarities. Would you kind of elaborate on how Sea Caves opening and having a huge influx in visitors that could be similar to this?
Sure, that could be. I mean, there are some similarities, and I guess it's a good point that's made. You are forced to improvise and be a little bit creative and organize and do what it takes to resolve an issue. There are again thousands of people unexpectedly to see an event, as was mentioned. So yes, we do have some ability to organize and set things straight. There are no guarantees that things will be uneventful, but it turns out things do work out. This will work out for our community. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be in my position. But it's going to work out. Yes, ma'am. Real quick.
Why would you even say something like that? We are a community, and we should be welcoming you, not acting like this.
I've been told I need to be quick, and I will. I do try to be concise. I have been working with the Forest Service for the past 10 years on an option. 2 or 3 of them have been Vietnam vets who have been arrested and incarcerated because they refused to sign permits. They went to fight in foreign countries to defend the Constitution. This is a constitutional issue, and it has concerns about the permit. The last people that signed a permit were found dutifully, what Karen said it eloquently about what happened with the last case in 2009. There were 2 permit signers. And since then, we have been working in cooperation with the Forest Service with these documents, an operating plan. I have an example here. I have 3 examples of operating plans. And this year concerns me greatly because we are legalities of fires in the Rainbow Gathering. The year before, there were 4 bulleted pieces. that were very clear. You can see them right here, number 23, 24, and 25. Very clear. I have a fear this year that because the Forest Service is not working with us on this operation plan, because I heard today, it states in their design plan criteria here that they're coming out every day at noon. That's usual. Yet, they put up signs at the Rainbow Gathering that they're coming at 11 tomorrow. It's their two different messages to us. It's very confusing. Okay, I'll wrap this up. But these two documents are very important. These three documents. This new one, I've spoken with Tony and I've spoken with Jamie, and they really are thinking about this because this is important. This is our taxpayers' dollars in these documents, and it could become codified. Someone asked about codification. These are important things. In 200 years from now, what will your grandchildren do when they cannot peaceably assemble to redress the grievances?
Go get a permit. We don't need one, it's national land.
Another question?
Oh my God, people. Just take care of the forest, that's all we said.
Last time the design for the forest didn't magically get any cleaner. We still had to do it.
I'm sure you
Well,
guys
I don't think we're going to have a lot of public statement. I'm sorry. And after the meeting's over, if you want to, so that's good, that's fine. I mean, we have a right of free expression here, that's it. We're not going to cut anybody out. I think we're, okay, real quickly, we're going to try, yeah.
Several times.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Several states.
California, Arizona.
Pennsylvania.
Heart's Content, Pennsylvania.
Utah.
Use them.
Prineville, Oregon.
Oh, come on. What part of stop being rude do you not understand?
You can research the history of all the rainbow gatherings, and you can even look at reports that the Forest Service has left after we have left. One thing that is unanimously clear is we clean what we mess. In fact, in Utah, they told us, and we have it on video, the Forest Service, we left the place cleaner than before we came. This is something we specialize in. We are very good at leaving no impact. And the Forest Service knows this. We have it documented year after year after year.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're going to wrap up the questions, and if there are individuals who want to talk about it, I guess that's fine. I just want to leave you with optimism. We are going to take care of our community. In my job, law enforcement folks, emergency services folks are going to do our absolute best to make no one is harmed here. We expect, and this is not a reasonable expectation, that people visit our community and do no harm to it. That's a very reasonable expectation. And